They're like, you didn't track the wind. I'm like, no, I don't care.
Mm-hmm.
I hunt mobile. So if the wind's blowing, it even goes down to the point where I tell people, I'm like, hey, if you think you're going to hunt a stand for a specific wind, you are the cockiest son of a bitch. Because you think you know a deer's going to walk that way.
Yeah.
You guys have legit like hills and mountains.
Yeah.
You know. And so you get true thermal. And we are 3 foot above sea level here.
Yeah.
I had more success and more close calls with big mature deer this year at 16 to 18 feet than I did over 20.
I mean, archery, I'm 10, 12 feet up. That's it.
Oh, really?
That's all. I mean, both the deer I shot, one in Ohio, one in PA, I wasn't any more than 12 feet up in a tree.
Yeah.
I don't like heights, too, so I don't know.
Yeah. I don't mind them. I don't like falling. I don't like the sense of falling. I don't do roller coasters.
That is a question because I've heard this before. So is it the fear of height or is the fear of falling that you have?
It's the fear of the sudden stop at the end.
So welcome back to the BackCountry Pa Podcast. You got Cody.
You got Ethan.
And we got Jacob Bennett.
Yes.
How's it going, man?
Good. Thanks for having me, man.
Welcome back to the podcast.
Well, thank you. Good to be back.
Yeah. So you had a really good year this year. Like I would say it's a really good year.
Lucky year.
Lucky year.
We talked on our last podcast, and we were talking about like my goal every year is just to get a chance at one good 5.5-year-old buck, one good mature buck, and this year was just. And I thought last year had a phenomenal year too. I tagged out on my buck tags in Mass October 23rd and November 4th on like back-to-back hunts, basically. Like I had one hunt in between, and I was like, man, it's not gonna get any better than that.
Yeah.
And this year again, October 23rd, I shot what I believe is my biggest buck. And then the next hunt 3 days later, actually, I shot him the 23rd and the 26th. I killed my biggest buck ever right after that. So got just super lucky.
So just the buck on October 23rd. Let's dive into that one because that's a good time frame to like get a buck. That's like that pre-rut time frame. So I mean, obviously every area is different, especially Massachusetts. I mean, go anywhere and stay like down here in Lancaster, it'll be early October. You go up to Potter County, it's like mid-November, right? So like, is that for October 23rd? Was that a plan? Did you have any idea that this buck was in the area?
Yeah, I did actually. Okay. So this buck, I'm big into like not debunking myths, but there's like a million not myths out there, but theories, let's say, of like the October lull. I don't believe in that.
No.
I believe bucks change your travel patterns and you just lose them on your camera and you're still hunting the old spots. And then the myth of like the rut is like mid-November, early November. And I'll be as fair as say like, no, the rut, as far as like the rut, people have it set in like black and white, like it's the rut. I mean, the rut starts, I'd say mid to maybe even early October. You always have these old does or whatever, and you always have a doe or two that come into heat early on in the rut. And you hear how many people you saying like, oh, that guy's always talking about, oh, they're chasing, it's an early rut this year. Yeah, there's some truth to that. There are does that come into heat really, really early.
Yeah.
What people consider the rut, I personally believe, is the majority or a good portion of the herd cycles at the same time. And it's not like whether this and that. It's photoperiodism.
Yeah.
It's the decrease. It's the same thing. Like they ovulate. It's photoperiodism, and so the decrease in daylight, they ovulate, so on and so forth. And so I think I like to hunt scrapes, like early. I'd say early October, maybe second week in October till second week in November.
Okay, yeah, because I mean,
it depends on your doe herd.
Yeah, I mean, so I ran cameras in a certain area down here all season. Like a new area, and I saw the first real chasing was, what was it? That was like the first week of October. Wasn't it like the October 7th?
Yeah, it was very early. Yeah, first half of October.
October 7th, I had a really mature buck chasing after a doe. So like, it just like you said, it all depends on the herd. When one comes in cycle, like it's usually I am a firm believer in like if that mom came in then and she had fawns, that fawn will come in within a day before or day after of her, usually.
Right. But so also the younger does will come in like for their first cycle. Will usually come in late. The last ones get bred, and those are ones you see like still chasing. I had like 2 weeks ago. My wife's like, look, a nice like 3-year-old buck chased a yearling doe across my yard, like right on her, like dogging her. Yeah, what's still going? People are shed hunting like crazy right now, and I'm like, all of my bucks that I know are still holding. I know like one that dropped aside.
Yeah.
So I haven't even gone looking yet.
I've seen a few people picking up some. I haven't made it out yet. I was trying to be efficient. Like it was really that big snowstorm we had down here. I was like, oh, I'm just gonna go out and climb the mountain with my Dodge Ram. You know.
Yeah.
I didn't make it up that hill.
The Hemi didn't make it.
That's because it's a Dodge Ram.
Well,
yeah.
It was doing good until it got up to the hill.
Yeah.
But if you look at the buck I killed in October, I killed them both October 23rd. If somebody else was chasing this buck, they would have been like, oh, October lull's gone. He disappeared.
Right.
And I'll tell you why, because I hunt this, there's a piece of woods and there's a lot of people on it. I know like 6 to 10 people that hunt it. It's a good chunk of woods. And it stretches over like a couple towns. And we have pictures of this buck. I hunt with my buddy Frank, and we have pictures of this buck, I think, for the last 4 years. And the first year we got pictures of it, I was like, what is that? A typical like 6x6 or 7x7, like wide, not terribly long tines. Yeah. But I know it was him because he's blind in his right eye. So we named him Reb, right eye blind.
Yeah.
Got pictures of him the first year like twice and then nothing. And then we got him like end of October and then never again. And then the next year, same thing. And then last year, I got like 3 sets of pictures of him in daylight, always on a Sunday. You can't hunt Sundays in Mass.
Same here.
Same thing, same time period. He will show up like second week in October until like the first week in November and then disappear. And last year, I got pictures of him November 4th in daylight on like a Saturday. I'm like, oh man, I couldn't get there. And I just got done coaching my son's soccer game, and I was gonna go plan to hunt this other buck. And I got pictures. I'm like, oh crap! There's no way I could have got there in time. It was already like 3:00. Instead, I ran to the spot the buck I was gonna kill, and I killed him, and I was tagged out. But never got another picture of Reb again that year. So this year, hung cameras in there, and didn't get pictures of some decent bucks in there, nothing like giant. And then got pictures of this 11-pointer at a scrape. It didn't look giant, but just because the camera was like right here in his face, and you could just see him like hitting the licking branch. And it was the same day my buddy got married. And I said, hey, here's your wedding present. Nice 11-pointer. He goes, ooh, yeah, that's nice. And I started looking at it. He turned to the camera like, that's Reb. He's blind in his right eye. And they got more pictures. I'm like, God, this deer's body's huge.
Yeah.
All like scarred up and stuff. And I think we got like 2 sets of pictures of him. Like all in all, I'd say maybe we got 13 sets of pictures of him in 4 years, maybe 4 or 5 of them in daylight.
Yeah.
Mostly on Sundays. And it started getting, and I hunted, and actually I wounded a buck early in the season, my own fault. I rushed a shot, and I tracked him for like 2 miles, not a single bed, confident. That buck showed back up on camera, and he's alive. I called him Medusa. He's got like 5 different main beams. But I'm glad I didn't kill him, because I come to find out, I think he's like, I got a good picture of him. He's like 3 years old.
Really?
Yeah. I got pictures of him that like overnight, like 4 a.m. I was working the next day. I got home that afternoon, and it was like dark and foggy and rain coming down, and I rapidly came in just like 10 minutes before last light, and I shot. Never saw my arrow. Never heard the arrow hit him, but he took off like a bastard. Then I found blood, and I tracked him like a ton of blood. And me and 2 of my buddies tracked him for a long time. Like literally, we were like 2 miles, as you know, not as the crow flies, but on foot. Like never found a single bed.
Wow.
And then like 500 yards from last blood, we were walking out. We found a drop of blood. It's like,
oh my gosh,
what the hell? And then I went back for the next like 4 or 5 days, just listening for crows and scouring. It's like the thickest. I was like, if I find him dead in here, I have to bring like a knife and a fork and some matches and start eating them, because like I can't get him out of here. He's like the thickest stuff possible. So I had worked. I was talking to my wife. My wife was great about it. I was talking to her about this, and I was like, she's like, you can hunt the next 3 or 4 days in a row. I'm like, I know, but it's gonna be like 70 degrees. And she's like, it's gonna be cool in the morning. So why don't you hunt tomorrow morning? I was like, yeah, it's gonna be like 45, 50 in the morning. Why not? And I'm sitting there having a whiskey, and it's like 8:00 at night, and we're watching our show together, and I'm kind of like half falling asleep. My phone goes off. I'm looking, I'm like, there's a good sized deer on the camera. It's like 8:00 at night. And I noticed a pattern of like, when I got pictures of this buck, he would, if he was headed like due north at like 8:00 at night, between 8 and 10 at night, he would come back in the daylight. So he was doing this big, like 10-hour, 12-hour loop. Not 10, 12 hours, but yeah, roughly. But if he headed due north, he'd come back through in daylight. Where he was headed back to, I have no idea. And so he was doing this big loop, and I was half asleep I was on my iPhone to hit years, and I was going back looking at the pictures of him, and I'm like, man, yeah, he comes back in daylight, but I don't even know if this was him or not.
Mm-hmm.
I got a picture of him, and so I noticed he had like this thing on the back of his neck. I couldn't really see the rack, but I saw a thing in the back of his neck. I'm like, all right, I think that's Reb, headed due north at 8 o'clock at night. I was like, I'll go sit there in the morning. Never even looked at the wind. And I get in there, and it was like so humid that it was like it was raining because the leaves were all heavy with dew. And I'm up in my saddle, and hadn't seen anything. Like, just like, this is boring. The 740 comes around, and like 300-400 yards away, they're like doing some construction. I can hear like the raw camera, doom, 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 doom. I'm like, this is great. I'm not gonna see anything. And I started doing like the baby sway in the saddle.
Love the baby sway.
All right. I'm texting my boys. I'm like, I ain't seen shit. This is lame. And I look out, I see something move, but not like vertically, like a leaf falling. It was like laterally. I look, I was like, what was that? And it moves again. I'm like, what is that? I look, and it was his main beam. And he was already at 40 yards. And there's like, it was a very dry summer. We had like a drought. And so the fall was very dry also. And so we had all these swampy tag aldery areas that when the water dries up, it's like open ground. It's surrounded by oaks, like pin oaks, white oaks, whatever. And they drop, and they don't have to dig through leaves. And so these openings, they like to use it. They come through, they eat, and it gives them like a staging area that's in the middle of cover.
Okay.
I had a nice way into it. And he was already 40 yards away by the time I saw him. I was like, holy crap, that's Reb. Could just tell because he's like wide. I was like, oh man. So I automatically, it was like, oh, I lean right behind the tree so he can't see me. I turn the camera on, get the camera on him. And I lean back around, and he sat there for like 5 minutes just looking right on the edge, just like old bucks do, just looking, make sure the coast is clear, licking his sinuses, his nose, like trying to smell, and the wind's swirling. I'm like, oh, he's already in range. Like, don't take a frontal shot. First part, your mind is like, put an arrow on him, on him. I was like, oh, calm down. Finally, he breaks and comes at me. And to the right, there's some branches, and there was like a scrape under there. I'm like, if he goes that way, I've got like a 10-yard shot. If he goes left, I've got like a 25-yard shot that's got one tree, but then like a 25-foot opening. I'm like, oh, God. He breaks, starts walking right at me. I was like, please don't walk right at me. He broke left, got behind this one tree this big. I drew. He didn't catch me, and the camera's on the whole time. I went, man, and your mind goes and plays. And I was talking on the bow about this. So I was like, your instinct is like, just shoot, just get it over with, get that uncomfortable feeling over with. Of, I was like, no, stop, slow down, pick a spot. I picked a spot, and the bow went off, and like surprised me. It just, and just perfect whack, hit him. He went 30 yards and died.
Wow.
My first call was to my buddy Frank. I was like, I killed Reb. He's like, what? How? I'm like, I shot him. He's like, well, yeah, but how? Like, I told him, I was like, blah, 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 blah. He's like, I'll be right there. Let me go get the deer card. I'll be right there. Give me 30 minutes. I'll be right there. I'm like shaking. I call my buddy. He's like, I'm taking my lunch break early. I'll be right there. And my buddy Ross. I go get my arrow. I film him. The whole time, like, he's like a 140.
Yeah.
And I walk up to him, like, I start blood showing. There's blood everywhere. I use hybrid broadheads. They're Evolution Outdoors hides.
Okay.
They're awesome. Use them for elk, even stainless steel.
Yeah.
And form up, just blood everywhere. And I walk up, and I was like, holy crap, he's huge.
Yeah.
His body was so big. Like, when he was dead, his legs wouldn't cross. They were like stuck out. His chest was so deep.
Because his chest was too big.
Yeah. I was like,
he must have skipped leg day or something.
Yeah. I'm like, oh my God. And the thing on his neck, he's had a tumor on the back of his neck.
Oh,
like a little fibrola. That's what it was. I had no idea what it was. I'm like, oh my God, he's got a tumor in the back of his neck. Excuse me. I walk up to him, I grab him, I'm like, this is a giant.
Yeah.
It's a giant. He's not, this isn't a 140-inch buck.
No.
And dark chocolate rack. And I call my buddy Frank. I'm like, he's huge. He goes, yeah, no, I know he's big. I'm like, no. He's like big. I'm like, he's over 200 pounds dressed. And he goes, well, I'm like, because we usually don't gut him there. And we had this hill to go up over. And he was like, you got to gut him. I was like, yeah, all right. So I went back, gutted him, got my buddies, and came back down and met him. Went back down, and they filmed it. And we got some great pictures, just a great experience. And my buddy Justin Barnes he's like, I'm leaving work now. He works overnight. He's like, I'll meet you at your house. I'm gonna go pick up some road sodas. He came back, met me at the house, and we
road sodas. You mean beer?
Yeah, some buckskins. Yeah, some buckskins and whiskey.
Okay.
And,
I understood that one.
yeah.
Just for the listeners out there, you know?
Didn't know.
Yeah. And so we went and propped them up for some pictures, went
Yep.
to the liquor store, came back. I got back to my house at like 9:30, 10 o'clock. And we were still out there looking at them and celebrating at like 3:45 when my son got off the bus.
Jeez.
I brought him to my buddy's house and we weighed him up. He was like 217.8 or something like that.
Oh,
Dressed, but it was like 80 degrees, so we had to process him right there, keep him real quick and get him off. And we had scored him kind of like half in the bag.
Mm-hmm.
Like we were having some drinks and some cocktails, just throwing up on a tailgate with like some chicken wire fence we had, and like, and we got like 160 on the nose, and then it was like, God, middle November, and I ran out of room in my freezer, so I had to take his head out, and I thought him out, I had to cape him off, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna score him here by myself.
Yeah.
I poured a drink and sat there, and I had my friend score him, and I scored him, and I got 165 and like 5/8.
Damn.
Beautiful. I mean, I don't care about inches. I don't give a crap. I mean,
Yeah. But
He's
still,
an
I mean, that's
animal.
pretty impressive. That's a very
Yeah.
impressive buck.
he's
Who?
I still have him right here because
there he is.
Jackson's really expensive, but like,
Oh man.
My gosh.
yeah, he's like right here. He's just so massive. And so last year, this was a drop time. It actually went down and along the main beam.
Get out.
Yeah. And so, yeah, it's a great buck, but like just like this giant old Roman nose on him. And couldn't be happier. Like beautiful. I was like, my season's done.
Yeah.
Gold Matt, he's just this great buck, super happy. And it was like, sweet. Sorry, honey. Another taxidermy bill.
So,
And she goes, really? Another taxidermy bill? Like, yeah. She goes, is he really that big? I'm like, yeah.
yeah, he's a mega giant, right?
He's a mega
Everyone's saying
giant.
now. But
Yeah.
so I want to go back to Medusa, the one that you couldn't find. So there's
Yeah.
obviously lessons to learn from that.
Mhm.
So what did you, after you couldn't find that buck, after you realized, he's okay, what was going through your mind that whole time of like that because you said you went out there multiple days ago and looked for him.
Yeah.
Like what was going, because I was there this year. So like what was going through your mind in that time
I
frame?
suck. I
Yeah.
suck.
Yeah.
I shouldn't be hunting. Like the deer owes it. I owe the deer. He deserves better than that.
Yep.
So it was weird. I hunt this piece of property with a buddy of mine. And we talk and I have the cameras and he has the password to my plan. And like we put the cameras together and we put them out there and it was weird. It was like, he's a police officer and he works overnight also. And then at like 3 a.m, we got this, or 2 a.m, we got this picture of this buck. Like 10 o'clock at night, then 1 a.m, 2 a.m, I got a picture of this buck. And I'm like, what buck is that? And he's like, I don't even know. On the left, he's got like 8 points, like 2 main beams come out and around, like kickers. The other side's got like another main beam and 4 brow tines. It's like a 15, 16 point, but his frame is like this.
Oh, real tight.
Like tines are maybe that big. So not big. I'm like, man. But he was so tight to the camera, we never got a picture of his whole body, just his head and neck.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, you got like a drop tine. I'm like, I've never killed a drop tine buck before, so I want to kill him.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have any other. And the big deciding factors, we got pictures at like 5 a.m, headed back towards the thicket.
Okay.
And acorn crop was amazing this year. So I'm like, I'm going to set up near the nearest patch of white oaks between the thicket and that camera.
Mm-hmm.
And I got in there. It rained all day. It stopped. And I got in there and the rain started coming down and it stopped. And then the fog rolled in. And I'm not too proud to say I'm getting old. So like my vision, I wear glasses. My vision gets a little blurry. And I'd rattle a little bit. And I just put it away. And I heard like a twig snap. And I'm like, where was that? It's like, was it behind me? It was around here. I look, I actually see the white belly walking at like 30 yards to my left. And I'm in this stuff of like the tag alder whips
Mm-hmm.
and the bright orange or bright green leaves on them.
Yes. Yep.
Not green fletchings. I had green fletchings at the time.
Yeah.
I'm like, all right. And then he started moving quick and I tried to get the camera on. I couldn't. I looked like he's getting my only opening. So I drew back and I didn't even go meh or anything like that. He just hit my opening and I shot. I rushed it. And so I rushed. I never saw where my arrow went. Never heard a thwack, thump, crack, boom, bang, nothing.
Yeah.
He took off like somebody smacked him in the ass, like tearing up tag alders. Like, I was like, geez, sorry.
Yeah.
Didn't mean to scare you,
Yeah.
So I climbed down, couldn't find my arrow, couldn't find where he was standing. Cause you get down in these tag alders that are 8 feet tall.
Mm-hmm.
It's like Narnia, you're like, I'm in the jungle.
Yeah.
I think he was here. I called my buddy Mike. I'm like, Mike, I can't find blood. I'm like, I'm gonna have to come back tomorrow. It's dark out. I don't know. And the there's a path that walks out. So I'm walking back to get my stuff. I look down and I'm like, that's watery blood.
Mm-hmm.
I start looking. I'm like, oh, there's decent blood trail. And I followed it for like 15 yards and it was decent. It was dark.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh, okay. So I followed for like 15 yards and I saw where he took a tag over that was like the size of my thumb, but like ripped it up by the roots. Like he took off hard.
Yeah.
Like, all right. Marked it, grabbed my gear, got out, called my buddy Matt, and we went back like 4.5 hours later to see what it looked like. And we followed it for like 150 yards through pines like that. Saw we had stopped and there was a pile of blood, of foam. I'm like, maybe single lung. I don't know. But also, when blood drops, it aerates.
Yeah. Yep. And
then from there on out, you ran for like 150 yards. Excuse me. From there on out, it was weird. It looked like somebody taking a gas can full of blood and just walked for another 150 yards. And then he got to this sand gravel area, kind of lost it. And I was like, let's bail out of here. And so we made a mark, bailed out, went back with a friend the next day, found more blood. And the next 1.5 miles was just like drop, just walking. And we got so deep in the stuff and we were in a different town.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And my brother was like, dude, I don't even know if we find him in here. How are we gonna get him out of here?
Right.
Like, I don't know. We have to pack him out or something. And finally at like 1 o'clock, we started at 9 in the morning. We stayed there at 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock. We were like, listen, I'll come back tomorrow. And I went back the next day, listened for crows because it was hot.
Mm-hmm.
You know, listened to coyotes at night, walked it again. I still walk it. Like my buddy walked it yesterday, shed hunt. He's like, there's no dead deer over here.
Yeah.
They even checked the other side of the property, like 4 miles away. Nothing. So I think he made it. And I'm pretty sure it was that. Here's the thing. I know it was a mature buck that a big buck that I shot at.
Yeah.
I wasn't 100% sure it was Medusa.
Okay.
Just because it was foggy and whatnot. Yeah. I got excited, man. You know, I mean, the first time you draw back and shoot at a deer this season, you got some rust on you and you get excited, you know. And no, I mean, I don't care how many deer you've killed. Nobody gets over that. You get excited. Yeah. If you're not excited shooting at a deer, then why are you doing it?
Yeah. When you first said like you wanted to give up, you didn't want to hunt anymore, you get more respect for that deer. That's to a T what I felt this year. Like until rifle season, like from October 25th to opening day of rifle, my confidence was an all-time low because it was like that buck, he deserves better than that. Like it's like I told my wife multiple times, like I don't even want to hunt anymore. Like I'm done for the year. Like I don't even know if I want to hunt anymore. Period. I didn't want to do the podcast. I didn't want to do anything. Like I was like in an all-time low.
It's the proverbial kick to the nuts.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. You know? Yep. And so is that too noisy in the background? Can you hear that?
No, you're good. You're good.
Okay. There's points where like the next week my wife's like, oh, you going hunting? I'm like, I'm gonna go look for the deer.
Mm-hmm.
She's like, yeah, you're wearing jeans. I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna go look. She's like, he's probably fine. I'm like, we don't know that though. Mm-hmm. So that was like early, I think like October 10th or 12th.
Yeah.
And finally got over it. Like my buddy was like, listen, man, what are you gonna do? Eat your tags? Like you gotta get back out there. And so I hunted kind of like sparingly, like you know, not really into it. And then got pictures. I'm like, all right, he's alive. He's okay. I couldn't even see where I hit him.
Yeah.
No, it was weird. So and that brought me to rep.
Yeah.
So I think like 2 months later I killed rep.
Yep.
I only bow hunted like 5 times this year at Mass.
Wow.
Yeah. Low number of sits, but good success. I mean, that's what for the last couple of years that we've tried to do better for both of us. It's like we don't want to go out and sit 50 times. Mm-hmm.
Right.
But then they're not quality sits. Mm-hmm. We only sat, I think between the both of us, we went out less than 20 times. Between both, like maybe like a full day, like less than 20 full day sits.
Oh, yeah, because you didn't have many because you were very successful early on. So,
yeah, I'll give you that. Yeah, I know. But yeah, so it's like less sits but more successful sits, and whether it's seeing deer, getting in the game, actually shooting one, that's kind of what we wanted to aim for instead of more numbers. Yeah. But to go back to your like rushing the shot, I noticed, I think because the first deer I ever actually had a chance to shoot was the Ohio buck. Mm-hmm. That was the first one that I saw on this, in my season. And I mean, I got so excited. I was like freaking out, like in the tree. I was like, grabbing everything, getting ready to go, and then I just stopped him and shot. Now, luckily, I was able to recover him the next morning, but to not find him and then find out later it wasn't the best shot that I made.
Yeah,
that's like the whole time, like, I don't do that. Mm-hmm. Like, I prided myself, like, I shoot something, it dies.
Yeah,
like I make sure, like, almost every single deer that I have shot. Granted, it's not a lot, but every deer that I have shot, I have seen it die. I've been able to, like, okay, it's there. Like, I know.
How many deer have you killed?
In my life, 6. Like I said, not a lot.
I'm going to brace you now.
Yeah.
You're going to wound deer. You're not going to find them.
Yeah.
You're going to wound deer, they're going to be okay and live, and you're going to wound deer that you're not going to find, they're going to die. It's the hard facts of it.
Yeah.
What we do is a brutal, violent act. We're killing something to eat.
Yep.
And to fulfill a genetic calling to hunt. Mm-hmm. Make no mistakes. People can say harvesting. No, man, I don't harvest deer. I kill deer so I can harvest their meat. We're killing something. Mm-hmm. And when it's something else's life, I mean, I love deer. They're beautiful. Mm-hmm. When I was growing up, it was different. I just wanted to kill. Mm-hmm. That's that young machismo. But now, like, I love deer. I got at home from work today. There were 4 deer in my lawn. Let me walk right by them. I love seeing them.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
I love deer. And so it hurts to hurt an animal that's so beautiful and they have so much respect for it.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna warn you, it's gonna happen.
Yeah, I've heard that more than once.
I'm hundreds of deer deep. And that's not a brag. And I've wounded, unfortunately, I can say a lot of deer. Mm-hmm. Like, if not, I would say a lot, but like more than I would have liked. You know, it happens to everybody. Yep. And I've wounded deer that I've actually killed the same day. You can see this buck right here. Mm-hmm. Yep. I wounded him. Brisket shot him at 9:00 in the morning, killed him at 4 p.m. November 16th, like years ago.
He's a double throat patch.
Same stand. Same stand.
Wow.
So it's gonna happen. It's a shitty thing. You do everything in your power to, like, not do that, obviously. Mm-hmm. But punching paper and punching foam cannot prepare you for an elevated heart rate, excitement, anxiety, stress, conditions. It's a wild animal we're shooting at.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We're not shooting at a standstill target. People who shoot 60 yards at deer with a bow, I'm like, a deer can move so much.
Yeah. Yeah, we've seen them duck strings at 25 yards.
30.
30. Yeah.
30. It ducked mine at 30 this year in Ohio. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a thing.
Yeah.
You know? So, and not to be a downer, but it's going to happen.
Yeah.
It does happen. Act accordingly. You know, put in the best you can do is have the best intentions. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Don't take shitty shots.
Yep.
You know, don't take, low percentage shots. And when it does happen, exhaust all efforts. Mm-hmm. Yep. And then try to sleep.
Yeah, try to sleep. Yeah.
Yep. That was I think that was the toughest, because obviously it was the first time I actually had to back out. And look, I'm glad Cody was with me on that one, mm-hmm. because if I was by myself, I would have been probably a wreck.
I think you would have kept looking.
I probably would have kept, which in turn would have ruined it, because we don't think he actually died until later that night. Yeah. He bedded down and died.
That's a hard thing. That's a really hard thing. And I think it's part of growing up in the hunting world is that a lot of young people don't know when to not push a deer, what a lethal shot is, how long it takes. I've seen deer when I did the sea bucks, the guys up in Maine, they shot a buck. They call it Bigfoot. I think it's Bigfoot. But they shot him. It was a liver shot. Mm-hmm. He lived for like 28 hours. He was still alive when they found him.
Jeez. See, that's what mine was. It was a pass-through liver shot, and I lost blood after 80 yards, and I couldn't find anything else. So we made we grid searched for 400 yards each way. Like, we did everything we could, and I went back there even a rifle, even the opening day of rifle. Yeah. I went out there and I pushed through Laurel. I went the direction he went. Nothing. So it's just
It's, and the thing is, if you look at it, the vasculature of a deer, it's not that uncommon. It's not that different from a human. Mm-hmm. If you put a human on all fours, it's all the same thing. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. If you look at it like, liver shot, but if you don't hit like the big vasculature in the liver, they can live for a long period of time and they'll become eventually septic and die, get back acute bacteremia. Or you know how many times people live with one lung?
A lot, yeah.
Dude, Teddy Roosevelt got shot in the chest, down to lung, delivered a 52-page speech, and then went and sought medical attention.
Jeez, yeah.
So, like, one lung doesn't mean dead deer.
Yeah.
At that time, they can live for days, weeks, and that's the fact. That's why low percentage shot. Neck shots. Let's talk about neck shots.
I never even thought about taking, like, that doesn't.
Never.
They're so big. I feel like the airway's not big enough to justify shooting at a neck.
So it's not even the airway. They can live forever with a hole in their trachea.
Yeah.
And when you hit the trachea, because you'll find white foam that's dense because it's oxygenated blood coming out. Like hitting it, it's oxygenating it, and it's literally like soap foam.
Okay.
And so with a rifle and neck shot, sure, because it's different. You're killing by hemorrhage with a bow. With a rifle or a shotgun, you have impact shock. It's called cavitation. When you have a bullet that goes through, you hit here, but you have ripple effect through a certain percentage that you can break their spine, sever their spinal column or their spinal cord. There's a lot of different things you can do. If you hit them in the neck with, I've shot deer straight in the spine with a bow, with an arrow, and they run off and been fine.
Wow.
Sure. Oh my God, but they dropped and they were kicking around. Then they got their feet up. Yeah, man, you stunned them pretty freaking good.
Yeah.
Unless you sever their spinal cord, or hit that vertebral artery, they're gonna live. They'll be sore for a few days, but they're gonna live.
Yeah.
So the neck shot for a bow is a hard no for me.
Yeah. No.
Hard no. Texas hard shots, no. Get the hell out of here, dude.
Through the ass.
Through the
I
ass.
would. I'll send it.
This is gonna sound graphic. You can cut this out. But if you're
No,
a human
it's staying
being,
in.
imagine getting shot up your ass and how painful that is,
Yeah.
and what a terrible death that is. Actually, they call that buckwheats. Like, man,
Wait, what?
Like,
That's called a buckwheat. That's called buckwheat.
Yeah, there was a movie back in the day, The Gangster. Christopher Walken was it, but they would shoot somebody, and it was called buckwheat. It's like because it's a terrible, long, slow way to die.
That's terrible.
Like, man, if that's the only shot you have, I get it, man. If you're starving and living off of like cattail roots and stuff, like sure, meat's meat, but like no one's starving.
No.
Starving. That's one thing. If you have like a $4 rifle, you're not starving for food.
Right. Yep. If you have a rifle, period, you probably aren't starving for food.
Right.
Because rifles are pretty expensive now, no matter if you buy used or new.
Yeah.
Bows
exactly.
too.
Yeah.
But sorry, we went down a dark path.
No, it's okay because
Well,
I think that's important to talk about is like the shot because one like for me it was like I aimed mid body because I was like, oh, that's what I heard someone talk about on a podcast. It was like you have the most area to miss. Like if you're going to hit them in the guts, they're going to die. If you hit them in the liver, they're going to die. If you hit them a little forward, they're going to die. And I was like, when I shot him, I could have shot the heart. Like there wasn't nothing stopping me from doing that. It was like in my mind, I just heard that, and I was like, well, if I pull it right or left, I will hit something that's vital. So I'll aim mid body. When really I could have aimed right behind the shoulder and I could have killed him.
Yeah.
That's all I ever aimed for.
Yeah.
Right behind the shoulder.
It was just
or the
overthinking it.
So I have a friend of mine, Blake Davis, and actually, if you guys go to Harrisburg, he's at the Dart and Archery booth.
Dart North. Okay. All right.
Darton. He go talk to him. He's a great guy. His name is Blake Davis. Tell him you know me.
Okay.
And he knows deer biology really well. He's from New York. He's a fellow New Yorker. And every time I kill a deer, a big buck, he's like, call me. He wants to talk about it, talk about the history of it, talk about what they were eating, talk about where I hit him, how they acted after I hit him, how old they thought the deer was, what the mass was like on the deer, what the pedicles looked like. Like he's awesome. But he and I always have this conversation, both agree on, like if you hit them between the hips and the shoulders, they're going to die eventually from that.
Yeah.
Once in a while, you get like a single lung that'll make it, but it's probably going to get infected, septic, and die. But is that like what's the most humane thing to do? And a lot of people are fearful of the shoulder. They really are. But the shoulder doesn't sit right here. The leg goes up, and then the shoulder blade sits up high.
Yeah.
You got this whole V pocket. Hunting public's got it right. That point of the shoulder right there.
Yeah.
That's
and I got very lucky. Both my bow bucks this year. I went through and double lung, top of the heart, severed the aorta. They both died within 30 yards.
The best way to do it.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say I'm a great shot.
Yeah.
But good high quality broadheads. That center mass thing.
Yeah.
Blake will tell you, he goes, that's a rage shot. They'll tell you, just hit him in center mass of the rage because it's such a big cut.
Mm-hmm.
You'll kill him.
Yeah.
You might find him with dogs, later the day or next day, but you'll kill him. But
I did it with it was a G5 dead meat. And I don't know.
Dead meats are, my buddy John Petrick thinks those are, he shoots those. They are devastating.
I liked it, but looking back at it, like I bought it was like the G5 dead meat 2, so it was upgraded from the one that I had that was on sale.
Yeah.
And you could see the size difference. And I was like, if that thing didn't expand the whole way, or if it expanded before entering that deer, it could have slowed it down quite a bit. So it's like...
Well, that's the thing is we call that the energy suck.
Yeah.
The amount of energy it takes for that broadhead, for those blades to open up.
Mm-hmm.
And for all that to happen, because you lose kinetic energy, it takes away from it.
Yep.
And then you have like drag through the deer with the blade angle. So I use the Evolution hides because the lead blade is like a 1/2 inch, really thick steel. I won't shoot aluminum ferrule broadheads.
Okay.
They bend, and then once they bend, you lose your trajectory of penetration.
Yeah.
It's got a 1/2 inch bleeder blade or lead blade. That's you never heard the old silver tip, this old silver flames.
No, I haven't.
German Kinetics used to make a broadhead. It's really thick steel.
Okay.
And then it swings open to an inch. You can get now inch and like 2 3/8 inch cut.
Mm-hmm.
I shoot like an 1.5 inch cut. I think it is, but they're swept blades.
Okay.
And my buddy Maurice showed me those, and I have had really good success with them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Both bucks I killed last year, I shot with that. I shot that Euro mount 8-point.
Okay.
With one, and I killed I killed a buck in New York and these 2 bucks in Mass with them this year, and all of them went most 40 yards.
Okay. All right. And what would they say that was the Evolution?
Evolution hide.
Evolution hide. I'm gonna look them up because I'm looking for new broadheads this year just because I don't know if I have the new G5s obviously, but it's I might try something different just to I don't want to change up completely. Go to I still think I'm gonna stick with mechanical, but I don't want to go to a fixed head because it's that could throw off your whole arrow setup and.
It can, but if you tune your arrow and your bow and you have good flight and your arrow and bow is properly tuned, my bow right now I can take. I've shot Simmons Tree Shark 1 3/8 inch 2-blade cut and hit the exact same with my field points and with these, just because I like to have it tuned because that's where you get your most kinetic energy is with a properly tuned bow.
Right.
And there's no reason to not shoot mechanical for deer.
Mm-hmm.
They're not very dense boned creatures. They're kind of soft.
Right. Yep.
But a high quality broadhead's going to get you much further than aluminum one that has crappy blades.
Yep.
So spend the money.
Yeah.
And the good things with the Evolution hides, they're reusable. You just replace the blades.
Yeah.
And the blades are sharp as shit.
Yeah. I was looking at there was another one. I was looking at getting a rec too. Rec broadheads, looking to test out the Recs, the G5s, and then I might go with the Evolution hide. I might just try it a bunch and just see which one that way. My thought is also they send those. Sometimes those companies send a practice head with it, right? So if they don't, then I would just glue one of them together. So that way I still would have most companies send 2. So that way I still have 2 left. Glue one.
In the last 4 years, I have the same 5 or 6 broadheads that go through multiple deer. The ferrule still spins true. I just replaced the broadhead, replaced the blades and the mechanical blades.
Mm-hmm.
And you can buy a pack of, I think, 3 or 4 replacement blades for $30.
Yeah.
You got a whole new set of broadheads.
Okay.
I've never bent a ferrule on one of these things, and I've shot hit rocks.
Wow.
Yeah. And I'm not a salesman for them. They don't sponsor me. They don't even know where I live. They don't even know I exist. Yeah. But Sever makes a nice one now.
Mm-hmm.
Mechanical has got the lead blade on it. I like the mechanical that has a lead blade because instead of having a slap cut, a linear cut of just 2, you have it open so it flaps. That way, if you go like this and they run, they have to go like this and it'll close. Mm-hmm. The other one stays open and bleeds more, in my experience.
Yeah. No, I just think I saw Sever actually came out with a new practice tip as well. I just saw that. They came out with their own practice tip. So it goes with every single one of their heads, I believe. It's they have different 100 grain, 125, 150, all that kind of stuff, but they have it fit to their broadhead. So like that way you have a Prax head and a broadhead all together.
Yeah.
So like I've looked at them too. I mean,
are you shooting 100 or 125?
Right now I'm shooting 100 with my setup.
The Evolution hide is aluminum in 100 grains.
Okay.
I would suggest going to 125 just because it's steel, but also I like having 125 up front.
Okay. Because I might be trying a new bow this year. Might get a new bow. I'm not 100% sure yet. But I'm not. Like I said, I'm not. I told Ethan this before. I'm not getting an expensive bow. Like I'm going like a setup, like ready to hunt bow, like a bear bow, something like that. Like everything has. Like I can still take the stuff off that bow and use it if I need to. But like, just gonna get something that maybe I can. Because right now it's at 61 pounds for my draw weight. I could pull back more than that. So like if I can get one that's up to 65, 70, that'll be ideal. Then my setup can go up a little bit where I can put that 125 on there with a better arrow or lighter arrow, whatever, and go from there.
You know, nobody needs a new bow every year.
No. I had it 5 years. I mean, so
if the guys can afford it, good for you. I'm shooting a Hoyt Ventum Pro 33 that I bought for my buddy John at East Coast Archery like 3 years ago. Wow. It's 72 pounds, 30-inch draw.
Yeah.
This year I might be going to a Darton, 80 pounds at 30-inch.
Okay.
A little bit shorter axle to axle.
Yep.
To go out west with.
Okay.
And just because I don't have a backup bow right now. I like having a backup.
I have my dad's old PSE.
Yeah, I shot for years. I mean, I killed deer with an old York Firefox for 12, 15 years and didn't have a cam on it. It was just wheels.
Yeah.
You don't need a 300 feet per second bow to kill a deer.
No. I mean, in all reality, it's going to be maybe max. You want it max 30 yards. Now, I've seen people this year, I'm shooting a deer at 55 yards in Pennsylvania here in the big woods, and I'm like, that's a risky shot. Like
the only reason to do that is if they're wounded.
Yeah.
This deer right here on the pedestal was, I single lunged him. I hit him in the shoulder blade, and I hit the spine of the shoulder blade.
Mm-hmm.
It went through, got one lung. He ran out and stopped. I actually got out of my tree stand, and he ran up on top of a hill, 63-yard shot, and I shot him again. It's the only reason I'd ever shoot that far.
Yeah.
My max shot for deer is 40 yards, and I don't like it.
Yeah, 40 yards is, I practice on the side of the house here. 40 yards like my max. I back up to 45 just for some, like if I'm in elevation in the tree, whatever, like, but like I want that in like 30 or closer. Like,
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it's
just, I always range when I'm in a tree. Like I'll pick trees out and I'll range them.
Mm-hmm.
And I can tell like how shit I am at guessing distance. Because I'll range something and I'm like, oh, it's like 35, 40 yards. And I'm looking, I was like, I don't like that.
Yeah.
That just looks further than it probably is, but I don't like that. I got to get a deer a little closer.
Yeah.
So the best thing, so I have a 100-yard archery range.
Okay.
Because I go out west elk hunting.
Mm-hmm.
And once you shoot 100 yards, 30 yards seems like 10 yards.
Yeah. I can see
farther
that.
you shoot, the farther you shoot, the easier the closer shots are. Like I'll shoot 100 yards, like 4 or 5 arrows, and I'll get a group like this. And then I'll move into 50 yards, and they'll be like that.
Yep.
And I still won't shoot a deer at 50 yards.
No. It's just, it's something in your head. Like, so I want to, first, before we get into your second deer you got this year,
yeah,
we're going down a very big rabbit hole. But like you said, I want to get in your mind about this because how does your mind shift from like, okay, I'll shoot an elk at like say 100 yards, but like I won't shoot a whitetail at 45, 50 yards. Like, is it because of the terrain? Is that the factor?
It's the terrain.
Okay.
It's also an elk is the size of a barn door.
Yeah.
Elk aren't as skittish.
Okay. Yep.
I spent enough time around elk to know, like, I've shot an elk at distance.
Yeah.
And my bow go off, and it was a long shot, like boom, and I put my bow down, and you can see the arrow go, and they just stand there watching the arrow go whack and hit them. They're not dumb.
Yeah.
They're just not high strung, fast twitch like deer are.
Okay.
Deer can hear like a mouse fart, like 30 feet away, and like, whoa, what was that? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They run for no reason.
Yeah, that's true.
Deer are much more high strung. Elk are just a different creature. They're grazers.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Deer are runners, and so a deer, realistically, your vital signs, you're like a good shot is like this.
Yeah.
An elk is like
that's true. Yeah.
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 a little more margin for error. Doesn't mean you can be sloppy with your shot, but also the terrain.
Mhm.
If your max range for elk is 30 yards, it's going to be a tough one.
Yeah. Okay,
You know?
that makes sense. Yeah. So if the body size gets bigger, right? So let's say elephant. How far would you want to do an elephant shot at? with the
Well,
with a
better not be using a bow.
Probably like 40 yards because you have to get some serious penetration on those things.
or like
But it all comes down to knowing your bow, knowing
Yeah.
the animal, knowing how to read the animal's body language.
yeah.
Like I really don't like going like Matt, stop a deer
Mm-hmm.
because that puts them on alert.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
I like to shoot them when they stop naturally. But when it came to Reb, I was already drawn on him. He was 25 yards. I went Matt, and he did. He was like, boom, but it was too late. I was already on him.
Yeah. Yeah.
And my second buck, I didn't stop. He stopped on his own. I shot him mid snortweeze.
Okay, well, let's get that's a
Oh.
perfect segue into the second buck. Let's get into your second buck. Did you have a name for this buck, or is it just a
Mako.
Mako? Okay, like
Yeah.
a Mako shark.
Yeah, because his tines
Sick.
look like Mako shark teeth. They're just everywhere.
Oh my gosh, that is
so-
gnarly. Like
Stickers, splits, like
Nice.
yeah.
that kind of looks like a buck from like a horror film that you see in a haunted
Yeah.
house. Yeah.
And he broke off here in Velvet.
Wow.
It looks like one of those little we'll say tobacco pipes you buy in a bodega.
Yep.
See them a lot.
Yeah.
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 So it's funny. This deer, I was hunting with my buddy Mike. We hunt the same piece of property,
Mhm.
and no idea he existed. Last year, I was hunting in a piece, and I had a run-in with a guy who was like, "You're trespassing."
Mhm.
Like, no, I'm not. So I had to go talk to the cops, show them I had permission to be there. Got a bad taste in my mouth. Hunted a different piece of property the next day and filled my last buck tag. Got a nice 140-inch 10-pointer.
Mm-hmm.
That night, I got pictures of Mako. I was like, oh, man. Then he was a straight-up smooth 6x6 typical.
Oh my gosh.
And my buddy Mike hunted him, had close calls with him. I never went back in the piece of woods all year because I didn't have any buck tags left. I'm not going to go in there and shoot a doe
Mhm.
when he's in there, doing his thing. And he was number one on our list this year going in. And we put pictures out early this year, cameras out early this year. Got pictures of him just after he broke Velvet. And we never got pictures of him with that time. He was missing the whole time.
Really?
And he was kind of like not a ghost. We got pictures of him like every 2 or 3 days for like a month.
Okay.
And he did this little, he wasn't patterning. He was just randomly here. And I was like, man, he's big.
Yeah. Yeah.
He was number one and Reb was like number 3 until I realized how big Reb was. I'm like, Reb was number 2,
Yeah.
So I killed Reb. And there was a day in between, and on the third day, it was a Saturday. And I was like, I noticed all these deer are coming off this area. Like on the edge of the property is this brook. In the morning, we're getting them just at the edge of shooting light with like mud halfway up their legs.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm like, I think they're hanging out on this piece. Like there's a field.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they're crossing the brook in the morning and going to bed.
Mm-hmm.
So the day before I killed Reb, I set a bunch of sticks, like preset sticks,
Mm-hmm.
overlooking couple spots, and then I killed Reb, and then killed him on a Thursday. Friday I sent some more stats, and then Saturday morning I was texting Mike because he was working. I'm sitting right where I am right now having a cup of coffee. I'm like, all right, shit, it's getting daylight out. He's like, where are you gonna go? I'm like, I'm gonna go sit at the observation stand to see if those deer are actually coming off that field. No intentions of hunting. He's like, yeah, we haven't got. I was like, I'm not gonna go hunt the Mako spot because we figured Mako, we got most pictures in this one spot where there's like a ton of white oaks. Like, I'm not going to the Mako spot. He goes, yeah, we haven't gotten pictures of him in like a week. I'm like, yeah, I know. So I'm going to go see if he's coming the other way. Just observation sit. I'm driving there. I'm like, oh, man, sun's coming up. Like I'm getting there really late.
Yeah. For
This
this
is no
observation
bueno.
set.
Yeah, I'm like, this is no bueno. I park, and the wind is blowing in my face from where I'm going to sit.
Yeah.
And there's a power line. And I start walking the power line, and I'm like, I can smell deer. I'm like, there's a scrape right there.
Yeah.
So I took my buddy Chad owns Backyard Sense. I took some dough,
Mm-hmm.
put it on my heel, and I just walked down the middle of the power line. Like my buddy Brent Merrick told me this one time. He goes, why do people walk slow to their stand? Just go.
Mm-hmm.
Get it over with. I walk like a deer. So I'm just walking. I'm like, oh, I forgot. When I was driving there, my phone goes off. I look, and I'm like, there's Mako. I'm like, shit, there he is. And he was like 3/4 mile away from where I was going to hunt.
Yeah.
And so my buddy goes, there he is. And he's headed where you're going. I'm like, he ain't going to make it. He's never come through this thicket before.
Yeah.
And he's like, you never know. So I'm like, all right. And so I walk. I get set up. The stand sucks. I move the platform a little bit, get set back up, go back down, set the platform a little more, hang my camera. I'm like, it's almost daylight. Oh, and I walk by, I have a camera. Right in front of the camera, I take a dropper of the dope eagle up in the goldenrod.
Yeah.
On the side of the power lines. Put in, get the camera on, sitting there, hang it. I hear like crunch. I'm like, all right. And then I hear like tickle, like antlers hitting a tree.
Yeah.
Like, okay. On my boot tracks. The wind was blowing in my face. My wind is blowing right at him.
Yeah.
My wind's blowing right in his face.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, oh boy. Well, maybe it's nothing. I'm sitting there messing around with stuff. Finally get my release out, clip it on my string, and I turn, I got my sight all set. And I'm like, all right. And I hear tinkle. I'm like, oh, there's a deer right there on my side of the power lines.
Yeah.
I'm like, jeez. So I swing in my saddle, like I pivot a little bit like this. I'm like, all right. And I see him walk out towards the telephone pole where my camera's on. I'm like, oh God, it's Mako. And I grab my ball off the hook and I clip in. And I'm sitting there. He walks on the other side of the telephone pole, rubs the telephone pole, scrapes the telephone pole. I'm like, oh my God. Camera's on him. Gets up to where I put the dope piss in.
Yeah.
You're like that. He goes, I draw back. He finishes the snort wheel. I go whack. Just you can see the lighted knock just go boom, right in the V.
Oh,
I thought it was
gosh.
V, but like maybe a little low. My friend goes, "How far was?" I go, "I didn't have a chance to range it. I figured it was 30 yards.
Yeah.
I thought it was 30 yards."
Yeah.
And so whack, and he didn't like bugger out. He just like jumped tail up and just bounded, and then stopped and stood there. I couldn't see him, and I was like, I hung my bow up. I'm like, did I just brisket shoot Mako? I'm like, oh my God, did I hit low? I'm like, I'm not going to tell the guys about this.
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, crash. I see the trees like shaking and stuff. I'm like, I did like Kevin from Home Alone. I'm like, oh, like that didn't just happen. I'm like, wait, was I sure it was Mako? Because your mind plays tricks on you.
Yeah.
I call my buddy Mike. And actually, I text him. Oh, I call him. I go, hey. He goes, hey, what's wrong? I go, are you sure you wouldn't be mad if I shot Mako? He goes, yeah, why? I go, I just killed him. He goes, shut up. I go, I just killed Mako. He goes, oh my God, how? And I tell him. And he's like, is he dead? I'm like, I'm pretty sure he's dead. He's like, all right, I get out of work in like 45 minutes. I'll meet you there. I was like, I'm not going to touch him. I'm not going to do anything to him.
Mm-hmm.
I hang up. I literally fire him down the tree, like all the way down. I left my bow and everything up there.
Yeah.
Camera's still recording.
Yeah.
I go back out. I'm like, dummy, you should have brought your bow with you. What if he's still alive?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't even find the blood trail. I just look and I see a white belly. I was like, oh my God.
Ooh.
And I just see he died with his antlers tied around a tag halter. So he's like this backwards, like,
No. Oh my God.
holy shit. So go back up, stop recording, grab my bow, get everything down. I find my arrow.
Mm-hmm.
And right, you see where there's a trail of blood to the arrow in the dirt. And right where he was standing, huge spray of blood. All over the goldenrod, huge blood trail. I follow right to him. I'm like filming him. Then I'm like, he's smaller than I thought.
Yeah.
I'm like, he's smaller than I thought.
Mm-hmm.
But then I didn't touch him.
Yeah.
I don't want to touch him without my buddy there.
Yeah.
Didn't touch him. I got out, sweat my ass off because now the sun, like I'm getting hot.
Mm-hmm.
Drove home. My wife's like, what are you doing home? I'm like, I just killed a giant buck. She goes, great, we got to go to soccer. I'm like, cool. I'll meet you there.
Yeah.
And I run and grab a deer cart. I run back there. I meet my buddy Mike. And he's like, and I look down and there was a message on my phone from Mike. He said, buddy, I would never be upset if you shot Mako. We're in this together. We're hunting buddies for a reason. I'd be just as happy that you killed him. If I killed him, I'm really proud of you.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I'm like, thanks, man. I appreciate you, you know, because we do, like, he killed a great buck this year too. Like we have a great relationship.
Yeah.
And we got down there, we're filming, and he's like, well, what's he look like? I'm like, I haven't touched him yet. He goes, why not? I'm like, I'm waiting for you. This is our deer.
Right.
And then I untangled for the tag holders. I'm like, oh, Yeah, no, he's big.
Yeah.
Put him up, got some pictures and stuff, and you share a hug,
Mm-hmm.
and then just like I didn't realize his main beams are super long. Like you can see they're like, I think they're 26 and a half.
Wow.
Something like that. And again, I didn't score him really. My buddy put a tape on him, and my buddy Matt came over and celebrated. Then we brought him to my buddy's house and hung him up and weighed him. He was 216.6 pounds, something like that. Dressed and
Reb was 217, right?
Reb was 217.8 or something like that.
Okay,
Yeah,
217 and 216. Wow.
They're growing big up there, don't they?
Yeah.
Jeez.
No, not usually. Last year I got a 209 and a 228.6.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Massive.
But the thing is, like the bigger, the heavier deer around here, like that 5-year-old age class, like the high school, freshman, college, like beefy guys. They're gonna be like 6, 7, 8. They get that narrow old man ass, I have no idea how old this. I think he's like 5, 6, maybe years old, maybe 7. I don't know. I gotta send his teeth in. Yeah. I still also think aging him by the teeth is kind of a sham now. We'll go into that later. But I don't know about my buddy's house. My son came home. He's like, "You got makeup?" I got awesome pictures of my son holding them and stuff. Yeah. And he's like, "What are you gonna shoot next?" I'm like, "I'm all out of tags, pal." Yeah. Like, I know what you want me to do. And so we went to my buddy's house, measured him up, had a few drinks.
Yeah.
My buddy Matt and I scored him. I think tailgate scoring's hard. He like 170 and change.
Okay.
And
yeah.
I thought maybe he was like 160. Like, that's awesome.
Yeah.
And then we went and I kicked him out. I brought him to New York for opening weekend. And my buddy Brent, like one of my best friends, he's got, we got the Evan Williams and a few bats out there and a couple Yinlings for your fellas.
Yep.
And he has a whole kit, brings it out. He's got the wire and the tape and everything. And we were a little wobbly, but he's like, I got 175 and 4/8. I was like, nah. He goes, yeah. And so finally, when I did keep him out, do the whole thing like this. Now I sat down when I did it myself. I got like 174 and change.
Damn.
Like I said, I don't care about numbers, but it's cool to know. Like I don't know. My buddy Jeff Brown, like the founder, he runs like Northeast Big Buck Club. And he'll score them for me. But like I don't. If anything, I they should be in the book just because like. For them, because they are like they're basic animals and they should get the recognition they deserve. For me, I don't care. Put them in the book with my name on them. I don't care.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Like it's right time. Like I didn't do anything special. Just right time, right place, right time.
Yeah.
It's not like it has amazing tactic where I snuck up on him 500 yards out in a rhinoceros costume and poked out of its ass like Ace Ventura. No, like I picked the right spot with a shitty win. I think
hunting. I know hunting is like. A lot more luck than it is tactics. I mean, yes, tactic, you can use a tactics, you can do all that stuff you want to do, but like also it's a wild animal, like you said at the very beginning. It's like it could decide to go left instead of right, and it's like you used every tactic you had, but it still decided to wake up in the morning. I'm going to go to the red oaks over here instead of the white oaks that I normally would go to in the early season.
Yeah,
so it's just
and it's that like it's that like. I don't want to say it's that easy, but it's definitely sorry. It's that like good and bad.
Yeah.
It's 50-50. You pick a shitty spot, you pick a good spot. And my buddies here in Mass are great. And they both killed one killed like a 130, the other one killed like a 150-inch 10-pointer.
Yeah.
I make it seem like there's big bucks behind every tree, but these guys are legit killers.
Yeah.
We all have different towns. And like, awesome. I felt great about my buck, and then you shoot these fucking things. Like, make us feel like shit. I'm like, dude, it's just luck. Like, I don't pick how big they are.
Yeah.
I haven't had bucks like this size to chase in years. It's nice. My buddy Bill, he always meets me, gives me a big hug. He's like my best friend. And so, I have a really expensive taxidermy bill this year.
Yeah, and I saw you. You said you went up to New York for opening weekend of rifle up there.
Yeah,
and you went out with your son.
Yeah.
So let's talk about that a little bit.
Opening day of New York, it's biblical.
Yeah.
How do you
like PA here? Yeah.
So I haven't bow hunted in New York in 4 or 5 years. I love it. It's all ag country, soybeans, corn, oaks, apples. It's awesome. You get out there and like 110-inch buck is a big buck for there. It's nice, and. My boys and my dad came over. He goes, look what we got. Picture of 11-pointer. I'm like, it's like 130 inches. buck. Shit, that's big.
Yeah.
And there's an outfitter that borders our property.
Oh, okay.
And
Yeah.
he's like, oh, have you seen the big one? I'm like, yeah. He says a picture. I'm like, yeah, I seen him. My dad got pictures on our property. And this buck covers like 10 miles. Like, I found out after I killed him that, like, people in like 2 different towns like, oh, I've been chasing him all year. I'm like, yeah, I know. I 10 minutes. And so we get in there. I had the whole week off, but I didn't have any tags because I take that week off. And I didn't have any tags off mess. We left. I took my son out for 2 days of school. I went bow hunting. And my dad had seen some nice bucks, but I didn't get a shot him. I was in a tree stand for an hour and a half, and I killed a 3-year-old 6-pointer with my bow. It's weird. There's a genetic where I grew up in New York.
Yeah.
Where no brow tines. No brow tines. It's a 160-pound deer.
Oh, nice.
And people are like, that's a real nice buck. I'm like, sure is, you know?
Yeah, it is.
And, so I shot him. I shot him like 15 yards. He ran off and stopped at 50 yards. And it was just huge lane. And I saw like smoke come out of his nose. And I was like, that's a great shot. So 50 yards, again, whack, he ran, died.
Yeah.
Called my dad. We even got my son. My son came and helped me track him.
Yeah.
I forgot my son's Adderall that weekend.
Oh,
so that was an experiment.
Yeah.
We're trying to blood trail. He's taking a stick and whacking a tree. It's like, over here, buddy. Come on. So, and then my buddy Will came and I brought back a ladder stand. And so there's this farm that we hunt.
Yeah.
Big, hayfield, goes down. There's a hill, it goes to the barn. It goes down to CRP with goldenrod, goes back up to CRP, orchard, and there's a hedgerow and a beaver pond. And my buddy Jimmy was like, dude, how come you never kill big bucks in New York? I'm like, they're just not there. And he's like, show me some of the properties. And he's like, man, you ever hunt this funnel, this and that? I'm like, no, but they're just not there. He's like, I bet they're there. And so I kind of like shook the Etch-a-Sketch because we've hunted the same spots for 30 years.
Right.
I'm like, man, how come no one hunts this spot in the morning? Like, it's great. CRP, crops, tag holder cover to bedding, in the swamp, in the pines. And same back and forth this way. If you stay up high enough, you're sent, you'll be fine, but you also have a rifle. So you have a rifle. What do you care about the wind?
Yeah.
Deer blows you at 100 yards. Guess what? They're in range.
Yeah. Yep. 200 yards. They're in range.
So we set up a ladder stand, like a 10-foot crappy stand.
Yeah.
And my dad like, I don't like it. This spot sucks. I'm like, he's like, I don't know. I'm like, it's gonna be good. It's gonna be good. My son goes in, we tie, the 3-strand barbed wire so my son can step over. We put a stand up. We do a mock run up. The next morning, do the same thing. My son comes up, we clip in his harness, like this is where we're gonna be, blah, blah, blah. And of course, that night we go to deer camp. We go to my buddy Brent's deer camp.
Yep.
The whole family's there, potluck, sighting in your rifles. And I'm like, I shot my rifle before I left. I know it's good. I almost went through a half a box of shells. I'm like, I don't know what the hell happened.
Yeah.
Like 40 yards, I was like 7 inches low. I'm like, what? So finally, my last shot, I hit the bullseye at 155 yards. I'm like, I'm leaving it right there.
Yep.
Not touching it. I had a backup rifle that was off also. I had a 320 mag. I'm like, oh, God. This is not going to go well. And started hitting the sodas a little bit. Yep. And then the Tyson fight was that night. And it was like 11 o'clock, midnight. I'm like, everybody's passed out. I'm like, all right, guys, time to go to bed because we got to wake up in like 3 hours.
Yeah.
We make this big breakfast. I had deer heart from the buck I got, deer heart hash browns and, 2 dozen egg omelets and stuff because we had, all the guys were in. And my 2 best friends bring their sons. My friend Doug brings his son Chase. He shot his first deer and buck this year. It was a spike horn with us. It was great.
Nice.
And my buddy Bill shot, some deer in front of his son, which was great. And, opening morning, and the guys like to razz me, like, "Oh, you're gonna be tagged out by 6:30, game hog." I'm like, no.
Yeah.
So we get down there in the fullest moon you'd ever see. It was fucking huge, and we're walking. He's like, "Look at that moon, Dad." I'm like, "Yeah, it's a nice moon." And all of a sudden, I see. He goes, "What was that?" I go, "That was a meteor." He goes, "No cap." I'm like, "Don't say that, dude.
Don't say that.
Don't say cap, man." God. I'm like, anytime I've ever seen a shooting star or meteor, we've done well. I'm like, we're gonna kill a buck today, buddy.
Yeah.
I was like, and my buddy, and Doug and I, we talked about this. He's like, hey, first legal deer to come in front of you, shoot it in front of your son. I'm like, absolutely,
yeah.
Get down there, get set up, don't bump anything. The wind's blowing a little bit from the east, a little southeast wind, and it's kind of in his face, but he has his Eskimo hat on. And I thought I made peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, made a roast beef sandwich, all the candy in the world, hot chocolate, thermos of coffee, and an army blanket.
Yeah.
We get set. He's like, all right, Dad. And I hear the stands like tink, 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 tink. I'm like, you cold, buddy? He's shaking his knee. He goes, no, I'm just really excited. I'm like, oh, good. He's like, Dad, why haven't we shot yet? I'm like, it's not shooting light. He's like, how long? I'm like, 8 minutes, pal. He's like, all right. He's like, Dad, it's been 8 minutes. I'm like, yep, we can start shooting now. But he goes, all right, where are all the deer? I'm like, well, it's going to be a bit, buddy.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden he was like, I look up like, there's deer, buddy, and way across this field. It's like, there's deer, and there's like 5 or 6 does start going across this field. He goes, shoot, shoot, shoot. I'm like, I figure it's like 150 yards.
Yeah.
Hold dead nuts. Like, you ready? He goes, yeah. I'm like, plug your ears. He's like, okay. Boom. The doe's still standing there. He goes, you dropped her. I'm like, I don't think so.
Yeah.
I don't think I did. And they just kind of like walked off.
Yeah.
And so my buddies text me, like, who is that? I'm like, me. Just took a long shot at the doe. Think I missed. And then I do that. And I look up and going against the wind, way out. And this goldenrod's really high this year. It was like 5 feet tall.
Yeah.
I just see something white going against the wind. I'm like, what the hell is that? I look, I'm like, damn, big buck, big buck, big buck. He goes, where? I'm like, where? He goes, holy cow, shoot it. And I'm like, all right. I try to put my phone away and I crank my scope up and I pull up and I just see like tines. Thing turns, quarters to me a little bit, and then stops. And I pull up and I put it 3 inches down from the top of his back. Because I'm like, I think I shot low last time.
Yeah.
And boom, and just dropped him.
Oh my God.
He's like, you dropped him. I kicked the shell out. He's like, let's go. I'm like, stop. Just sit here. And I'm just looking, didn't see the goldenrod kicking or nothing. Because, you drop them, sometimes they crawl off.
Yep.
I'm trying to like, look, nothing. I'm like, all right, I don't see anything. A couple minutes goes by, put the safety back on. I'm like, all right, buddy, I unclip his harness. I'm still looking through the scope. I'm like, all right, buddy, hands and feet, 2 hands, 2 feet all the way down. He climbs the bottom, starts running. I'm like, stop. I'm like, hang on. I unload my gun. I climb down, load it back up, and he starts running. I'm like, stop running. And we're walking. Let's look for the doe first. I'm like, no, we're not looking for the doe first. For the doe second.
I clearly missed the doe. We're not.
The doe. And we're walking. And my buddy's like, right after Sean, buddy's, who was that? That was me again. Giant buck at like way out there.
Yeah.
And I'm walking. I look back. I'm like, buddy, I don't know. This was a long shot.
Yeah.
He's like, Dad, I saw him drop. I'm like, me too, but I might have just stunned him. Like, that was a really long shot, pal. He's like, I know, you dropped him. I was like, all right, walking. We're getting like 30 yards from the edge of the property. I look, I just see the shine of a main beam.
Mm-hmm.
It hit him like right here, and it came out like right here.
Oh.
And he goes, you dropped the 11-pointer. And he was freaking out. Like, he's got his hot hands in his hands. He's like, you dropped them. He was so excited. And I sent a picture to my buddies, and they're like, holy shit, are you tagged out? It's 6:15.
Yeah.
He's like, the season's been open for 20 minutes.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, pretty sure I missed it. We looked for the doe too. I was like, no, missed the doe. I shot a doe later that night. And so I was tagged out. But I call my dad. And my dad's like, he's like, well, what'd you see? I'm like, Dad, I dropped the 11-pointer. He goes, no, you didn't. I go, yeah. He goes, well, I saw a squirrel. I'm like, no, Dad, this thing's huge.
Yeah.
Right here. It's huge. He's like, I'll be right there. I'm like, no, hunt. He goes, I'm freezing my ass off. I'm coming. I'm like, all right. I mean, I got a picture of my son holding the deer. It's a huge buck. And we go down and get my dad. My dad, it's like an emotional thing. It's weird to have like this connection with your father over killing something.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of psychotic, right?
Mm-hmm.
Psychopath. But my dad looked at the picture of this buck all year and heard everybody talk about this buck. And he walks up to it and just kind of takes his, and just takes the gun, lays it down, and just got on his hands and knees and just sat there and like held the deer's antlers in the face and looked at it and stroked it. My son walked up behind him and put his arm around him. And I was like, man, like how often, like I might not get this chance of my father 3 generations again to do this. Like I was like, fuck, I would have shot if it was a spike horn.
Mm-hmm.
Just happened to be a giant buck. My dad was super happy and proud. And I got a lot of hate for that buck actually.
Really?
All the locals were like,
oh yeah.
Once you have enough spots and mass to hunt, you got to come here and shoot our bucks and blah, 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 blah. I'm like, well, I got you something from Walmart. It's real nice. It's like, and some of it was like all in good fun. Some people were legit upset. I'm like,
yeah,
it's what it is. I mean, he's my best New York buck. He's beautiful. He's
that is a really nice buck.
Short main beams, great mass,
Mm-hmm.
11 point. Like, look how they all stack.
He's almost damn near symmetrical too.
Yeah, he's just one extra point.
Yeah.
But that's his spread, and we take him in like 140 and change.
Yeah.
But I mean, like I said, I don't care what he scores as far as that goes, but my son always wants to know this. And my son likes to name the deer also. So he named this one Gaston.
Gaston.
Yeah, because he's handsome like Beauty and the Beast guy.
Nice.
He was a beautiful buck. But if you look, all right, look at the size of the head on this thing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Look at it compared to this. Like the forehead and the size of the nose.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Like, there you go. That's even right there. See the difference?
It's like twice the size.
So
and
like
the length too. Yeah.
I think I mean I told the outfitter, like, how old do you think that deer was? I'm like 3 years old. They're like, no way, that deer's 3 years old. I'm like, I don't know. Look at the size of the forehead difference between those bucks and this buck. You know.
Yeah.
But he's gonna go on the wall also.
Yeah, I mean, I think those are the most memorable ones when it's because I sat with my dad for the first time this year during rifle season not even rifle, it was late season, but it was rifle late season. For the first time in like 12 plus years, like to actually sit with him and hunt with him. And like he actually shot a deer while I was there. That was a cool memory to have. Like it was like, even though it was a small doe, it was still like, I was still there to enjoy the moment with him and like put meat in the freezer. That's yes, we love these trophies on the wall. We love all this stuff, but like honestly, it's about that coming together moment where it's like, okay, it kind of takes you. It's like, man, this is why we do it.
Yeah,
like this is 100% why.
How narcissistic and psychopathic is it that trying to kill something brings us closer? Isn't that weird? But it's not.
It's
not.
weird for other people.
But it's about. And I tell people this because I work in the medical field with a lot of doctors and people who don't hunt, and they're like, "Gosh, how can you kill?" I'm like, I kill 1 out of every 75 deer that I see, probably. I respect them.
Yep.
I love them. I love to eat them more.
Yeah.
But also, these are the same people who offer to pay me for venison.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I can't sell you venison legally. It's a federal crime.
Yeah.
I can give you some.
Yeah.
Do you have any property behind your house I can hunt?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can pay me that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it's these things like my grandfather was a big hunter. My uncles were big hunters. My great grandfather was a big hunter. The Red Plaid Army. I still have his Johnson wool plaid hat, gloves, jacket, pants with the green boots. So he looked like a Mountie. And I never got to really deer hunt with a gun in my hand. I used to see with my grandfather, but he died before I was old enough to deer hunt with a gun. But my dad, right now, I told my dad too. The first part is the night before we went out. But I was like, I don't know where I'm going to go tomorrow. I was like, Dad, go sit in the stand we set with Kian. To take Kian with you. He's a good luck charm. Like, no, I don't like that stand. I told you no. I was like, okay. It was a 210-yard offhand shot.
Oh my gosh.
Oh yeah.
Because I just happened to wear a jacket I never wear that had my bow rangefinder in it, and I was like, and I hit it. So 210.
Damn. Nice.
Just lucky.
Yeah.
Just
right place, right time.
Yeah, I had a hard time sitting down. I had a hard time sitting down with that horseshoe on my ass all year.
Yeah. So, of all those 3 bucks, would you say that the one in New York was the most meaningful one? The most, like, if you only could kill one of those buck all year, would you have rather have had the New York buck over any of the other ones?
That's a tough one because I like the bow hunt more than rifle hunt.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. I'm right there with you. I like bow hunting.
But to see the smile on my son's and my dad's face, 100%.
Yeah. Yeah.
The funny thing is I shot Reb. The next hunt later, I shot Mako. The next hunt later, I shot the 6-pointer. The next hunt later, I shot the 11-pointer. And then the next hunt, I shot a doe. I was on like a streak of like a 3-week streak where I just murdered.
3 weeks and you shot all those deer. Wow.
Yeah, not even 3 weeks, 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
Yeah, like 2 week time period, yeah.
Wow. 14 days.
How many was that? 1, 2, 3,
14
4,
days.
5.
5 deer.
4 bucks and a doe. So 5.
14 days with 5 deer.
You almost killed as many deer as I've killed in almost my whole life in 3 weeks.
I came back from New York. I had the whole next week off. Didn't hunt. Sat in one spot. I killed. The next hunt I killed also. So like back to back, like 6 hunts I killed.
Jeez.
I shot a 3.5-year-old buck that only grew Hershey Kisses for antlers. We knew him for years, so I could use my antlers tag on him. We wanted to take him out of the herd.
Oh yeah, a call deer.
I donated him to a family in need.
Yeah.
So
Good.
Cool.
Cool.
But we knew him. He was chasing, making rubs. He was like 157-pound deer. He had antlers like this.
Jeez.
Wow.
So, but I knew it. Like I shot him at like 5 yards. I'm like, that's definitely him. It's a
Yeah.
legal antlerless permit. I made 100% sure of it.
Yeah.
So
cool, man. That was you had a hell of a season. A hell of a season.
Then I went to Rhode Island with my buddy Nate. Shot a few bucks and does there.
Jeez.
Yeah.
On a
Look
roll.
at that. So, did you shoot any in Rhode Island or?
Yeah, no, I shot a 2.5-year-old buck in a
Okay.
doe.
All right.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Was that just a rifle? Was that just rifle?
That was a shotgun.
Shotgun. Okay.
Shotgun.
That was they do slugs out there, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Slow.
I never been with a slug before.
No.
They're big and slow, and they knock them down. Yeah.
Yeah. They make a big impact. Yeah.
They are. It's a 45 caliber slug. I mean, they as well as 12 gauge. You know, and Sabot. It leaves a big hole.
Yeah.
That'd be
it's
your
fun.
center mass aim right
Center
there.
mass aim. Yeah.
Yeah.
Center mass aim will do it every time. Yeah, for sure.
Cool. So, what would be like the biggest lesson you learned from this year, from all all those harvests, everything, even the misses? Like, what would be biggest thing you learned this year?
Slow down. Slow down in multiple ways. Slow down in an actual like physical sense.
Mm-hmm.
Slow down in an emotional sense, and slow down in like memory sense.
Yeah.
So, slow down. Don't rush your shots. Take your time. Take the right shots. And I feel like a lot of the rush comes from, and this is a weird connection.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the rushing shots is the need and want to be successful.
Yeah.
To show people that you can do it.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of that stems from social media and the pressure of other people having success.
Mm-hmm.
I want people to remember, like, that's not what it's about.
Yep.
Slow down emotionally, as in, I will never have another year like this.
Well, you said that last year too.
This is also true, but I killed 500 something inches of antler in 3 days. Like,
That's a lot.
like
That's
like
a lot.
ridiculous. No, in New England, in the Northeast,
Yeah.
Um,
That's a lot.
slow down, enjoy the process, enjoy the success, and then like emotionally, I don't know how many years I'm gonna have left hunting with my father,
Mm-hmm.
or me, or my son. My son might not want to do it, so
Yeah.
Every single deer is, and I mean this, and this is not the hokiest thing ever. It is gonna sound like it, but every single goddamn deer you kill is a trophy. And any other statement to demean it, like, I know it's not a big buck. It is a big buck. It's a big deal. You took something's life. Respect it. Give it the honor it deserves. Every deer is a trophy. Every deer, because you took its life, it's a trophy in different aspects. It's a trophy as far as your memory. It's a trophy as far as the food.
Yep.
Antlers are antlers, man. They're glorified fingernails.
Yeah. Yep.
We talked about this last time.
Yep.
These stupid things going off heads have caused people to lose their house, their marriage, their friends.
Mm-hmm.
And you get obsessed about it.
Yeah, we do for sure.
When we come down to, man, the real trophy is like on your deathbed. No one's gonna stack antlers around you.
Nope. If
You
they do, that's
remember
kind of
times with your friends and your family
great.
and being in the outdoors and the memories of the hunts. That's
Mhm.
that's what you're gonna remember. That's the true trophy.
absolutely.
Oh, my house might burn down. I'll lose all these.
Mm-hmm.
You can't take away the memories. So that's where the true trophy lies.
Yep, absolutely. Couldn't agree more.
Sounds like a Hallmark movie, like an after-school special, but
I would watch that Hallmark movie.
It'd be the one I watch.
just some brief nudity and some foul language. But
Yeah.
So, let the listeners know where they can follow you, and if you have the films out, where they can watch you.
All right. Well, I closed my OnlyFans page.
Okay, that's sad.
So
Damn.
I'm on social media. I'm on Instagram at J_BenRN, and Facebook Jacob Bennett. I mean, I don't have. I was, like we talked about, I was big into the outdoor industry for a while, and I've kind of taken a step back just to kind of like have my come to Jesus moment and be like, why are we doing this? And I've been more successful for it, both emotionally fulfilled, spiritually, so to speak, and actually meat on the ground success. I'm working with my friend Nathan August. We have a small media company coming out called August Rising,
Mhm.
and we're going to start doing short films. Actually, we are putting together a short film, probably maybe for the Huntstock Film Festival. We're not sure yet.
Okay, all right,
That's
cool.
It's going to be called 72.
Okay,
As in 72 hours, it's going to have both these bucks because I killed them in 72 hours.
cool.
Nice.
So
There we go.
Nate's a master of editing, and I'm a master of bullshit. So But yeah, that's about it. And we're not, and that's the thing is no sponsorships, no nothing. Just high fives, handshakes, and enjoy the show.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
If you don't like it, thanks for watching. If you did like it, thanks for watching.
Yeah.
Same thing, so we don't care either way. It's just, we got to bring hunting back to where it was. And that's
Absolutely.
what we're going for.
Yep. Well, Jacob, we really appreciate you coming on here. Appreciate the stories and sharing them and the memories we made, man.
Oh, thanks for having me again, guys, as well. As usual, it's been a pleasure, and I appreciate y'all.
Yeah, absolutely, dude.